You ready, Jane?
I'm ready.
Okay. Unda para Yeochin.
Go to the into the shit.
Back to the count to the Jew. Hey. Jane, you're going to be proud of me.
I'm always proud of you.
True. And I know that you actually mean that. I am proud of me because I finally signed up to volunteer for Sawyer's field trip.
That's amazing. And what compelled you to do that?
He demanded. I have zero interest in being at the school with the kids. I did do it when they were little more, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. And after a few times, I was like, you know what, I'm good. Like the I don't know, the idea of it sounds so cute, and you get enamored with it, and then you actually do it, and it's like a pain in the ass, right?
Yeah.
Especially like it's your children. I mean, at home, they're you know how like you love your child the most when they're sleeping. When they're sleeping, they're like little angel. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they wake up and they yap, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? You know, like, it's just like, ah. And then multiply that by like 20 other kids. And I'm like, this is too much, right?
Yeah.
So I stopped volunteering. And I thought I was good because, Adonis had that break for 6 months. And he volunteered for fucking everything. He loved volunteering.
Admirable. He loved it.
Okay.
What kinds of things would he volunteer for?
Oh, field trips, if they ever needed a volunteer. When he was not working, unemployed for like 6 months, he volunteered at everything that they offer. And they love to have him, right?
I'm sure. They love dads.
Yeah, because they don't get enough dads.
Yeah.
So he would always get picked, right? And I thought, you know what? I would just say he's the better parent. And that's okay. You win. You do it all, baby. So
the kids are going to love you, though. Yeah.
So I skated by like, skate. I was unscathed. And I could like skate by.
You could
that's
skate
that's
by.
the word I was trying to find. Why does that not sound right? I use wrong words all the time. So I skated by like, ooh, I'm cruising through this. Then Adonis went back to work. And there's an upcoming field trip. And Sawyer says to me, so there's one last time to volunteer. He literally said that to me.
Hilarious.
He's like, this is the one. I was like, okay.
That's so cute.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Can you imagine? When I was little, I did not want anything with my parents at school. Like I just wanted them. They were
far
scary.
Away.
Yeah. They were scary. I wanted them to not even know what school I was going to, but this kid is like, why aren't you at school? He's so interrogating. Like, how come dad volunteers and you don't, mom? How come you're the only, I think, mom, you're the only mom that doesn't volunteer. He's so judgmental. So I finally.
That's hilarious.
And, I mentioned to the teacher, like, I'll try to volunteer. And then
do you think that has a teacher ever guilt tripped you?
Well, no,
okay.
Absolutely not. Not the teacher. But he did say, I know that you mentioned you wanted to volunteer. So he wrote me. He's like, but you have to make sure you are eligible. I'm like, eligible?
You have to pass the background check.
So there's like all this tedious shit. That's another thing. Like, you have to like sign your life away.
Yeah.
And I get it. I know you want the safety of the kids, but then you have to get your driver's license. You have to scan it in. You have to put it on, answer all these.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. And so they told me, and not only that, you have to wait for them to approve it, and that takes some time. But then,
if there weren't so many creeps, we wouldn't have to do that.
And of course, thank God for that.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what's sad? That's probably easier for me to buy a gun than to. I hate to say that.
Well, then you have to did you have to sit through the webinars, like sexual harassment webinars? I had to do that too. Yeah. But I don't know. That was like our district.
You have to. You have to. I said yes. I watched it.
Yeah.
I will watch it.
Yeah.
Before.
It's tricky. You can't even go, like, you can't try to forward through it.
Yeah.
Right? You have to, so you just kind of silence it.
You're like, let it play out.
Yeah.
So I thought it was going to take a while, but I guess I'm the only one volunteering in May.
Wow.
And it I applied like yesterday and I
Yeah.
got approved today.
That's hilarious.
I was like, wow. Because you have
Fastest
to do it every
turnaround.
school year.
Yes.
And I'm the only bitch that signed up in May. Anyway.
So is that good for do you have to do it again if you volunteer next year? Or
each year I think it's a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it.
Mm-hmm.
So now I can tell Sawyer I'm in.
He's going to be so excited. Where is the field trip? You haven't gotten that far.
Listen, Jay.
Yeah, you haven't gotten that far.
One step at a time, Jay.
It could
Getting this form was
I'm just saying,
task.
It could be a zoo, and that's going to be hard. Or it could be like a sit-down thing, which will be, for example, I chaperoned a field trip to the local high school, and they had a play.
Oh,
so
wow.
Really,
Oh,
and
that's
I
cute.
had 4 kids to keep track of.
Okay,
and
that's
we
what I
just
need.
sat down
and just
watched the play.
Excellent.
Walk with them
what
to
I
the
want.
bus. That, very minimal herding of cats.
That's what I need.
The zoo field trip, I think, was a little bit hairy.
Oh, I don't
we
think
got
it's a
an email
zoo.
from the teacher after.
Oh, I know. It's a lake. Oh, shit. We're going to a lake.
So you're going to have to be a little bit vigilant.
I have to wrangle them.
Yeah, you have to wrangle them.
I mean,
you need like a Bo Peep.
Oh no! Let me get one of those wristband thingies all the time. Oh no!
You need to get a rope
this is bad,
with
Jane.
like little rings for them to hold on to.
I need one of those like dog collars. They can't get too far away from me, or they're gonna get zapped.
Gosh.
Okay, this. I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm a
Hopefully
comedian.
there are other parents on this trip.
Oh my god! I'm gonna have to
There
write an
has
email
to
like, teacher.
Respectfully,
Can I just watch one kid? He's already my handful. I forgot we're going to a fucking lake. It's fine. It'll be fine.
It'll be fun.
But but
it's gonna mean so much to him. I wanted as a kid to have my mom be a chaperone on a field trip.
I never wanted the world to see my mom or dad, because then they would see them yelling at me or something, and I'm like,
it was a part of yourself you didn't want.
Yeah, like
to,
it would be embarrassing
reveal.
to get yelled at, in front of other kids. So I was like, stay far. I really stay far away. Home just stays hidden at home, and I think that's a lot with domestic abuse kind of situations. Like, you want to keep that a secret.
Sure.
And then my life at school already sucked anyway. I was already the loser kid, bullied. So I didn't want any more, flame to that situation either. So I was like, just please. That part, my parents never volunteered for anything. They never knew what was going on. And I was like, you know what? Let's just keep it that way. But that's the thing. That was my experience. And my kids are constantly demanding I be there. And I'm like, damn, what a different, Gavin
but
even.
Isn't that to me, do you see the stark contrast between the life that you had, the childhood that you have, and the childhood that you're giving your boys now?
Yeah.
Where they're begging you to come.
Yeah.
Because they want that sense of pride.
Yeah.
And look at my mom is here today. That's a very special thing.
It is. And I am, sometimes it really, I know I joke about it, but it does move me to tears. Like, wow, the fact that they want me there.
Yeah.
Even freaking Gavin, who is 12, right? He's kind of entering teens. You think that at that age, you'd be like, I don't want
that he's over it now,
but he's like, hey, Mom, can you come to this? This I felt like shit about. So he started track. He does track me. And then he says on Tuesdays, we have this thing where the parents can come and run with us.
Oh.
You see where this is going? And he goes, yeah, Mom. This Tuesday, we're going to do a run with you can join.
Yeah.
You can join, and we're going to run 4 miles. I was like, no, thank you.
4 miles?
I immediately said no.
That doesn't sound like track. That sounds like cross country.
It's track, but they're doing 4 miles and shit. I was like, nope. No. I have a bad knee, son.
Yeah.
tennis is what I reserved this knee
Yeah.
for. Like, it's already hard enough. He was like, he does this thing where he wants something. He'll be like, huh? He hops like weird. And he's like,
Yeah, I can imagine it.
Are you sure? So I was like, no, that's a no for me. I am not going to run amongst you little 6th graders for like miles, right? I was like, no.
Who has the time in the middle of the day to do
apparently
that?
me. Yeah. Even in their eyes, apparently me. But I said no.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, I felt bad, right? So I was like, hey, listen, if there's another Tuesday that rolls around, I'll do it.
Aww.
And then he says, Mom, that was a once a year thing.
Aww.
I fucking dropped the ball. And I felt I am so sorry. Like, but we go to his track meets and he loves us being there. We do a lot of things. So I felt guilty, but then I was like, involved. Also, do I really want to run like huffing it? I like to run alone if I have to.
Yeah. But this is really also very humorous to me is he just gave you enough details, right? Like he didn't tell you all at the same time. This is a once in a year event. Can you come? He just gave you the facts that you needed at that time.
He says he told me, and then I'm like, but I think I think I have selective hearing, which is really bad. It's bad, Jane. It's getting
a
really
mom thing. It's a mom
Is
survival
it a mom thing? I don't
instinct.
know. I think I need to officially get diagnosed for ADHD. So I did this thing where I thought last time I did something wrong with Gavin's concert. So this time I was like, I put it in bold letters in our giant year planner, like Gavin's concert. And like, I even like Sharpied around like cap letters. We got this, right? May 3rd. I was like, everybody get ready for Gavin's concert. It's May 23rd.
At least it's in the future and it hadn't passed.
Thank God.
Like at least it wasn't April 3rd.
But also he was like, yeah, concert. Can't wait for the concert. And then like the night before, he's like, Mom, the concert's not tomorrow. What?
Yeah.
This is why I will say my husband is supportive. He's like, he should have told us before. He put it on him.
Yeah.
But it's such a different upbringing, and I'm always like in awe of it because I'm so thankful that they want to come to us and they want us involved. It's a gift,
Yes,
and I completely appreciate that. But there are also things that our children do that we talk about this all the time. It's been sprinkled in, but like the other day I told Sawyer, we were at Gavin's track meet and I wanted him to feel like I'm still proud of you. So I was stroking his head. I said, you know what, Sawyer? You're awesome. And he says, he's doing his own thing. He was building some rock, whatever. And he goes, I know. I know I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Then he continues. I didn't even I didn't even say anything. And he goes, I know I'm awesome. I don't just think it. I know I'm awesome.
I know it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is wrong with them? I was like, he didn't.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even like trying to be funny. It just the
so
stream
sincere.
of consciousness just flew out of his.
Yeah.
And my jaw dropped. I was like, I could never. If I said something like that, my parents would have been like, just knocked me off.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they would even when they saw that I was slightly proud of like a good grade, they'd be like, so what? You did this out of like 1 time out of 10? Like they always made sure that I had to be humbled, But
that breaks my heart.
But seeing my kid, I was proud.
I think it speaks volumes that Sawyer can express and verbalize that because I think true confidence is when he didn't need your affirmation.
No, he absolutely did not. That's what he was actually telling me.
Yeah, he's like, I know. And that's the best. It's like it's instilled in him.
Yeah.
So that means that he doesn't need it from anyone else.
Yeah.
And I think kids there are certain grown-ups that I just I can tell I have a really good idea that they probably grew up hearing a ton of just like trying to win their parents' praise. And so if they don't have that, they cannot function.
Yeah.
And it's not instilled in them.
Yeah.
Like they themselves, need to have that confidence. Like, I'm good. Like, I don't need somebody else to tell me, but yeah, I worked hard, so I'm proud of this grade, or, I'm pretty cool. And so, I mean, that's clearly you guys are doing something right.
I felt really proud.
Yeah.
Just seeing like, it was funny, but also like, wow.
Yeah.
He is going to be all right. Like, and I think there are times when Gavin is stupidly stubborn.
Yeah.
Stupidly. I'll be like, no, take this shirt. No, I don't want it. And I'm like, no. But sometimes you have to, like, as a parent, I think this is what's tricky for me, because we grew up really, like, respecting our parents and being like, I'm still your parent. I'm not your friend. This is not a choice. I'm actually telling you to do something this time.
Yeah.
Isn't that difficult?
It is really difficult. And, my two kids, they have very different personalities.
Night
Ruby's
and day.
more like Sawyer, where
we talked about this.
Very clear about, we can't tell her to do anything, but Bennett, we can. Yeah. And I'm always we're trying to tell him, hey, if you don't agree, talk back.
Yeah.
Like, don't shut down. Like, talk to me, because he will become mute.
Oh, really?
I'm talking to him or lecturing him or questioning him. I'm like, please. He shuts down. And I'm like, I want to snap him out of it.
Oh, wow.
Because that's the kid that I was.
Oh, interesting.
This was always my mentality was, I will be mom right now.
Yeah.
But when I grow up, I'm going to do my own thing.
That's what you thought when you were a kid?
Yes.
Wow.
But I feel that Bennett has those tendencies where he can, it's very, and sometimes if I'm not careful, if I don't check myself, I think it's easy for me to unknowingly take advantage of that. Right? Do this or that. And
interesting.
Because he goes along with it. Ruby would never go along with it. Yeah. So I think it's important to
actually
know
I have
the
opposite problem even with Gavin, because he will say like, and it'll be over stupid thing, like it'll be like, wear shorts. He's like, I don't want to. I'm gonna wear long pants today. I'm like, no, but it's gonna be like 80 degrees. Wear shorts. Like, no. And he will like stand, and I'm like, I know the weather. You sweat so much, it will benefit. I say this to better your life. And he'll be like, no. And
does he do the opposite where it's really cold, wear long pants?
Oh, right. Oh, you do that?
No. Does he? Does he also fight you on that? Like where he wants to wear less clothes when it's colder? Like take a jacket? No.
Yeah,
wear long pants. No.
It's just like, no. He will get stupidly, he will have his reason, although he can't express that reason.
Yeah.
But he will have some reason. And I'll be like, tell me what the reason is. Let me just understand it. But he can't express that part. But he will be firm on no.
Sure.
And, for a while, I was really upset because I grew up never rebelling against my parents. So, like, how dare he? It ignites this, like, oh my God, we've gone overboard with this, gentle parenting thing that they think that now what I say is optional. And that frustrates me, right? However, I take a few steps back and I'm like, you know what? I'd rather have a kid like you're worried about who can stand on his ground and not be pushed over. So I kind of like walk myself back.
Yeah.
I'm like, I should be glad that when he doesn't want to do something, he won't.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but I do have to like get out of that moment
No, I
and
really
think about the bigger
think
picture.
that, yes, we really do, because you think about how they're going to be out in the world, like in the
Exactly.
workplace with other people of authority.
Yeah.
I don't want, you know what I mean? And we're forming that, and we're
Yeah,
helping.
I don't want him to bend over easily, you know? So I'm like, okay. And he usually has a reason. He just can't express it. I have to like pull it out of him. So it's not like for nothing. But I'm like, you know what? I would rather, like you fear, I would rather he fight me on it or for, you know, and be able to make the choices he wants.
Yes, that's what we're always saying is I just want communication.
Yeah.
You know, and there's no, you can't say any wrong thing.
Yeah.
But I said, that's the only way that I know what you're thinking or what you're feeling.
Right.
And if I don't have that, then I'm just going to make assumptions. And I don't want you to make, like, I don't want to make assumptions about you.
But look at how much thought process goes into our parenting. Do you know how fucking easy our parents had it? No means no! Go to your room!
Yeah, because I said so.
Face.
Because I said so.
Because I said so. That explained everything. But now we're thinking of their feelings, our feelings. We're thinking about the future. There's so much.
You know why? Because we became grown-ups, and the relationship we had with our parents is reflective of how we were raised.
Yeah, and we're trying to not do.
Yeah.
We're trying to not be them. But the fact that, do you think they were like this? They were trying not to be their parents?
I think so.
But they failed?
But I think there was not as much of a gap because because all that cultural shift happened, a lot of that in our generation.
Yeah.
The cultural divides,
yeah.
you know, in immigrant families.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think, yeah, I mean, my mom, she grew up in LA, so she was kind of the immigrant kid, right?
Right.
She married my dad, and he was more of like a, you know, he was an immigrant as an adult. So I still had a similar upbringing to a lot of my friends who had, you know, both parents were immigrated as adults or when they were like very young.
That so much about you and your mother's relationship.
I mean, it wasn't always peachy.
I don't think that. But having a parent that grew up in the culture.
Yeah.
And so that's like, because I'm the kid. For her, like, is she close to her parents?
So she was close to her parents, yes. But she's the oldest. She's the oldest of 4, and now both of my grandparents are deceased. But she kind of almost had to be
like the third
surrogate mom
Yeah.
because my grandparents worked around the clock. Like they were out of the house. So they were latchkey kids. So my mom was the one who was giving her brothers their lunch money every day.
Yeah.
And then, you know, making sure that the house was cleaned, getting
Do
started
her
on dinner,
siblings,
those kinds of things.
Are they really close to her?
No.
Oh,
yeah.
that's so sad.
It's hard because she's a girl and then she has 3 brothers.
Wow.
And out of the 4, she's the closest to my grandparents in terms of, I think because she was raised with that mentality, like you're the eldest.
Yeah.
So that divide, I think in the later years, I think she got a lot of grief for being that third parent figure.
Yeah.
And
they resented
her brothers
for it.
didn't really, they almost had like that immigrant child resentment toward parents.
Yeah, some of that
became directed to my mom, who very often had to be the middle intermediary. Yeah, and it's hard. Yeah, and then you have 3 boys who, they came as immigrants, but still our parents' generation, right? And so for some reason, a lot of them retain that, like this very strong distinction between male and female.
Yeah, it's also, I was gonna say it's misogyny too,
which is really interesting because my grandpa, my mom's dad, didn't do that. He treated my mom like the eldest because she is the eldest, not any less because she was a daughter.
Right. But
but it's really interesting because I didn't become aware of this until I was a mom myself, and hearing more from
being a nuna, like an older sister to brothers, is a thankless job.
Yes. Did you watch Queen of Tears?
Yes.
And I'm in the middle of that right now, but right?
Yeah.
Because you're talking the son.
Yeah.
The character who plays the son, that he's the younger brother, but they really treat him so differently. I mean, there's a backstory to why they do that, but still the misogyny there.
Yeah, like he's like the other, like the aju,
revered and held up on a pedestal.
Yeah. And the daughter is like, you just had to get shit done.
Yeah.
And I'm also the older sister of a brother that's 7 years younger than me. And also that's my stepmom's biological son.
Right. So there's double layer.
Yeah. And, but also in general, I feel like relationships are healthier when the older sibling is male.
Interesting.
So if it's like male and younger brother, that's fine. Because automatically, especially Korean boys of our culture, are taught to like respect older males.
Yeah.
Like 형님, like in the workplace, it's patriarchy.
Yes. So you're saying if it's older sister and then a younger brother.
Yeah, there's a conflict.
There is a conflict there because that inherent respect.
Yes. Like first,
is less.
Because you're taught in our society to like disregard women. But then yet they're put in this position of like, well, she's older than you, so therefore you should. But then it conflicts with the idea, well, she's just a woman.
Yeah.
But it's like not something anybody thinks about, but it's built into our system.
And they would deny it.
Yeah.
They would deny it if you said,
because nobody's going to want to admit to be like, I disrespect my older sister. But whenever I've seen in others, not even just my own, other families, the nuna, she's considered a nag. She's considered 잔소리, like just like telling me so much. She's not. A lot of times, she's not regarded with respect.
It's so true, and it's different for older sisters, just girls too. Like you still have respect there, but. Yeah,
it's
that's
like
a good point.
You get hated on. So I resented. I was like, you know what? If I had been Yeochins, we would be closer.
Yeah,
and that's the sad. And there's also like within my relationship, I think I kind of had that relationship, like Queen of Tears. Like the mom was so protective of her son, and kind of just saw the sister as sort of an enemy.
Yes.
And like you're holding, like that's how I felt. My
like
my stepmom.
A birthright stealer.
Yeah, like it should have been a boy. That's what it comes out. It should have that birthright position should belong to a man. And here we had you. And it's like this sort of, and it's so hard to express that because it's not something that's talked about in our culture.
It's not.
And it's also something that nobody like especially men don't want to admit to,
Yeah. You know what? I know.
It's
that. Yeah.
I've thought that for a long time. I always had this 아쉬운 like heart place in my heart, like a heartache in my heart that my brother and I aren't closer. I mean, we're not bad now. We're pretty, I think we're, considering where we grew up in, I think we actually have a decent relationship. But I've also always thought if I had been a boy or a male, we would be much closer. Like, I feel I did resent him when I was younger. And that gap would have been lessened had I been a guy. And I think it's, I just wanted us to be. I hate that my life is almost like such a Korean drama cliche. You know, the evil stepmom. I'm not her. Our bloodlines are different.
Those tropes exist because
it's rooted
those
in
families
real
exist.
things.
Yes. Yeah. And it's almost commonplace, like those experiences.
I mean, and the fact that it's still going strong.
Yeah.
You know, like in storylines, you still like that whole Queen of Tears. Like, oh, you're not the rightful heir.
Sometimes I know because sometimes you're watching it and you're like, what antiquated thinking,
right? But it's like not. Still like people, and that is like the #1 drama in Korea. It exploded really fast because all those storylines still have a place.
Yeah,
and that just. And I think that's why Koreans love Korean dramas, right? Because it can be packaged nicely at the end for them. Whereas in real life,
a nice ideal ending,
right? Like
satisfying.
You get away from the reality of it, the fantasy of it, and it's a lot messier. If you thought that was bad, it continues on.
Well, talking about patriarchy and bringing it back to this subject of volunteering. Why do schools or any organization, why do they love dad volunteers so much?
I know.
Because it's moms who hold everything up. Like it was Teacher Appreciation Week this week.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your school celebrated too. But
I barely got a gift in this week, but I did it.
We were arranging flowers outside the school for like an hour and a half.
Wow, Jane, your school
and
has
it's
money.
all moms.
Oh, yeah, definitely, all moms. And yet, they want dads.
Yes, they're like, we want to do this, like dads. I forget what they call it. Dads on.
Donuts with Dad is what they do at our school.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dad's, maybe like a. I forget what the catchy, but they get a cute, catchy.
You don't have
phrase.
Moms,
No. But then like dads at recess is such a novel thing, right? And it's like, I'm trying to ask. Oh, so how regular would this be? A once a year event. I'm like, oh. Wonderful.
All that effort
versus you're asking parents to volunteer weekly in the classroom to work with small groups of kids,
and moms are expected.
I do it. I enjoy doing it. Asterisk next to enjoy, because it's also very tiring. But but dads don't do that regularly. There is one dad, a friend of mine, he does that, and I'm like, that's wonderful, right? But the me too. I'm culpable too, because I'm applauding if there's a dad in the room, right? It's like, thanks for being here, thanks for showing up,
because they're like unicorns. You don't see that, so you're like, oh well, what a nice. It's exactly like when you first have the baby and your husband changes a diaper out in public, and all the women are like. Are you serious? We do that shit like every other diaper is us. What are you talking about? But yet, I even though I know it, I find myself applauding.
So involved.
Yeah. I always I've told you this. I always remind Adonis, like, you are a great dad, you are a great husband, but you seem extra great because your gender sucks so bad. And luckily, I have a man that says, true, 100%. Like, he owns it. So I'm but there are so many women who suffer. I mean, it's sad. I had friends come up to me and say, wow, you have such a nice husband.
Yeah. That's like no.
Like, my husband would never. What year are we living in?
I know.
But, and even, what's hard is that men of this generation, just because they live in a modern time, they think by default they're more modern. But in reality, they still are so like patriarchal in their actions. They and when you point it out to them, they're so offended.
Right on cue, Blake, our producer.
Like, I understand. I'm with it.
Yeah.
It's like, you're with it. You're aware of it, but you can't seem to apply that to your actual routine.
Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen in...
No, we will not.
One generation.
No.
It's not going to happen when the systems in place are not that way.
You have to see it, and the reality is we just don't see. It's put on women, and it's so ingrained. It would take a systemic, like uprooting. Like workplaces have to install, women have to go take time off. Now men have to fulfill, but that's just not, we can't even fucking like get our heads together. I mean, they're trying to take away like women's rights to their own body. Like we're going in such a backwards way. I'm losing faith in humanity, Jane.
Yeah. I mean, that became very depressing.
If you didn't hear, that was our producer wailing in the back. No. I mean, of course we have hope. Look at our kids. Our kids. Yeah. Let me bring it back. Seeing my children thrive and have confidence, like, for the longest time, I didn't feel confident that I should have a child, but seeing my children doing so well, I'm so thankful.
They want you there. They want you at the school functions, at the field trips.
They're able to talk to us. We couldn't do that with our parents.
No way.
And so that is progress.
It is progress.
It can happen. Yes. I'm not saying it can't happen, but we have to, what is that song? Oh, you can't always get what you want. What's the rest of it? You can't always get what... is that a song? Did I just make that shit? No, I know there's a song. Blake, you know a song. You can't get what you need, or...
No.
Is he just like humming shit? Yeah, super helpful. All right. Somebody write into us what song I'm talking about. You can't get what you need. You know what I mean, Jane?
I don't know.
I feel like it's one of those like rock songs. Can't... Okay. Huh? Yeah. Okay. He knew the. What's the lyrics? You should know this. You're a DJ. I can't always get what I want, but you need what you need. Whatever. Okay. Those are not the lyrics. On that note, we're gonna wrap it up today. Write to us if you know the song. Oh my god.
I hope you have a good field trip. Give us an update.
I'll let you know.